Hello, welcome to Iowa Capitol Insider. I'm Carol Hunter, politics editor of the Des Moines Register. We're here today to talk about the opening of the 85th Iowa General Assembly. With me are Des Moines reporters at the State House, Jason Noble, who covers the Iowa House, and Bill Petrosky, who covers the Iowa Senate. A lot of big issues are already teed up. Jason, they're doing a lot of talk about taxes. What do you expect to unfold?
Well, this year it'll be kind of the same story the last 2 years that we've seen on property tax reform. That's been an issue since the governor took office in 2011. They haven't been able to resolve it the last 2 years, but they're going to give it another try this year. I think what's new, in addition to trying to reduce the property tax burdens for commercial and industrial owners, is that there's also talk about perhaps changes to income tax, perhaps an increase in the gas tax. So it's a wider conversation on taxes this year.
That sounds like a grand bargain, like they talk about on the federal level, but that could complicate things too.
Yeah, I think there's different opinions on whether that's necessarily a good idea to link different tax policies together. The House Democratic leader said to me a few weeks ago, you don't want to complicate the simple. That's kind of the old phrase, and this might be complicating the complicated to try to link different tax policies together.
The budget is always a big issue, especially perhaps since Branstad took office, Governor Terry Branstad. He's gone to a 2-year budgeting. This will be the first year of that, so it's a big budget year. Bill, what do you see the tensions coming up on the budget?
Well, I think this year will be easier than some of the past years. And one of the big factors here is the fact that we've got an $800 million budget surplus. So instead of fighting over a very small pool of money, there's some flexibility here. Now, the Republicans, the first thing that will tell you is this is not our money. This is the taxpayers' money. This is the public's money. And I think one of the things they're probably going to talk about is, number one, how do we give some of that money back to the taxpayers? But secondly, there's also some caution here. They don't really know what's happening down the road. And especially when you look at all the problems that are happening on the federal level, I think they want to build some flexibility in the budget. So you might see a little bit more money placed in reserve. But having this much money, this allows you the flexibility to do some things. This probably provides a little bit more opportunity to do some things, for example, like property tax relief, property tax reform, and to build some money in there, for example, to pay back some of the local governments that are worried about losing some money, provide some money to help implement some aspects of the Obamacare thing, although the Republicans are very cautious about this, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement, but mental health reform is a big factor. There are several other things. State government, we just had an item the other day about the fact that there's 7.3% less state employees than there were a few years ago. Democrats would like to see some of that restored. The Republicans aren't necessarily all that enthusiastic about that, but you're going to see some of those pressures.
One question mark is that you have union negotiations underway as they're starting to craft the budget. How is that going to affect the budget talks in the legislature?
Well, it's definitely a big factor. And particularly one of the questions that's going to be interested to see is if an arbitrator comes back and suggests that state employees should get 2 or 3% and they shouldn't pay increase, and that they shouldn't pay any more money on their health insurance, and it adds a big chunk of money to this overall state budget, you might see some legislators, particularly Republican legislators, say, we aren't going to fund that. We're required by law to pay that money to people covered by the collective bargaining contract. But if they want to accept that, they're going to have to face some layoffs.
Okay. A big story. The other big story we know will come out of this session is that Governor Terry Branstad has pushed an education reform plan. Last year he pushed it, didn't get as much as he wanted. He said he'll come back and talk about that again in his condition of the state address. What are some of his top officials saying might unfold here?
Education is definitely the governor's top priority this year. We're definitely going to hear about that in the condition of the state address. I think what he's done this year is he's come back with a much more focused plan. Last year they kind of threw everything at the wall and didn't get a lot of it actually through the legislature. This year it's much more focused on a number of key issues, the big one being the kind of the progression that teachers take through their career. It'll start them off at a higher salary level and then give them opportunities to become mentors to other teachers and that sort of thing, and pay them commensurately as they go along. And there actually seems to be kind of general support for that kind of across the political spectrum. It'll be interesting to see how the details get crafted and how those different interests kind of react to it as it moves through the process. But right now there seems to be some consensus that it's at least a good idea.
Okay, well, we will see all of this unfold. The gavel-in happens at 10 a.m. Monday. It's a big week for ceremony. Condition of the state address starts at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and then there's also the condition of the judiciary address on Wednesday. Follow all of that with our coverage at DesMoinesRegister.com. There'll be regular updates as the news unfolds. Watch us on Twitter as well, on tablet and mobile. Thank you.